is just really, really caring about what you're doing and really, really believing in it. I really believe this could be huge. I really believe it's needed. I really believe that myself and those involved so far can make this happen. So I think it's just, passion and belief in what you're doing.
Hey, healthcare providers, you're listening to the Burnt Out to Lit Up podcast. Hosted by myself, Erica, and my husband, Michael. We're an OTPT team that understands the healthcare industry's got some serious issues.
Inspired by our own experience with burnout, we've made it our mission and passion to help you navigate your career in healthcare by cultivating wellness, growing both personally and professionally, and advocating for a better workplace.
Whether you are a clinician or manager, new grad or seasoned vet, join us each week as we share interviews, research, stories, and strategies that will give you the tools to go from burnt out to your most lit up self.
Let's dive in.
Today, I have a really exciting announcement. I can't wait to share it because he's right here next to me. I have a brand new co-host. I've known him for 7 years and we're married. So no surprise, my new co-host is my husband, Mike.
Hey everyone, how's it going?
Yeah, so Mike, he has been my editor for my podcast ever since I started. I've never had to edit that. Mike does all the back end work, but now he is joining me up in the front seat. And we have some serious changes that we're making to this podcast. And I'm really excited that you're here, Mike, that you're going to be doing this with me because I sometimes feel lonely talking to myself. And I think I mess up a lot more because I'm trying to sound casual talking to myself. And it's always weird.
Yeah, we were talking about this over the weekend. We were, talking about the different directions our business is going and what we wanted to really be focusing on. And, we're really gaining some traction with the podcast, and we appreciate, every one of you guys for listening in. We really decided that we wanted to, lean into this podcasting thing a little more and try to, make this even better and even more valuable. So that's why, I'm going to start taking, more roles and stuff and really stoked about expanding it and getting all kinds of awesome guests on the show. And
yeah, we're being for real. We're getting serious.
For realsies.
for yeah, we're getting serious with this podcast. Not that we were never serious before, because every week for the past almost year now, guys, we've been producing episodes every week.
This is the 43rd episode, I think, coming out.
Yeah, we had a few extra episodes in January to start the podcast with a bang, but the podcast has always been just a hobby, and it's just something we love, but we want to move it up. We want to take it to a new level and pay more attention to producing more and being there more for you guys to the best of our abilities. So, Mike, are you kind of like my assistant now with the podcast, or?
If you want to tell yourself that, yeah.
Well, you're gonna help me with with some of the back end stuff a little bit more, so that.
Yeah, I'll still be doing that, but it takes a little bit off you because you're doing a lot of stuff as well with courses and things. So, I'm going to be doing some interviewing and some stuff like that, and we're going to try to do those things together as well. So,
so you'll be my co-host for these little intros and moving forward with some interviews. Maybe not everyone, maybe some interviews he'll do by himself. So Mike, it's going to be a Mike and I show, the Erica and Mike show. But okay, so people don't really know you that well.
Yeah.
So
who am I?
But okay.
Who is this guy?
Who are you? But I wanted to ask you, why don't you just, because I whenever you go to a networking event, you usually, when you meet people always talk about what it is that they do, right? Yeah. And it's so easy to just introduce yourself with the things that you do, but that doesn't define you. So I just want to be clear, talk about obviously what you do, but also who you are and some of your interests and that good stuff.
Yeah. So I guess I'll start a little bit of what I do, because that's kind of the point of this. It's I'm a physical therapist. I've been a PT for 4 years now, which blows my mind. how I've been graduated for 4 years. It's pretty crazy. So really in general, I mean, I'm from Pennsylvania. I grew up there. I went down to Florida for PT school, and that's where I met Erica. And
Did you just say
Florida?
Yeah. How do you say basketball?
Basketball.
You have like sometimes your A gets a little.
Makes fun of my words.
Well, you make fun of my words. So
Yeah.
okay, sorry. Keep
No,
going.
it's all right. I'm from Pennsylvania. Some of my interests. I mean, I was a water polo player for like over 10 years. I haven't played recently because I'm out of shape and old.
You're not old.
Yeah, but yeah, I haven't.
30's old. We're both 30, and we feel really old sometimes. So
Yeah. What else? Some of my interests. I mean, I like editing video. Like when we travel, I like to do some photography and some videography and stuff. I made videos of our trips and things. That's like kind of a fun part. Yeah, and then other than that, I mean, I've been helping Erica in the background work on Joy Energy Time, and now helping her out with a podcast.
So I want to add something about you. First of all, Mike he was a famous water polo player. If you go to his house, there's like newspaper clippings of him and like all these trophies and all these. He was a star in his town in Moden, Pennsylvania.
I don't know about that.
I feel like within
the community, maybe,
and within your community, you were a really good player.
It was just like I was someone who was okay, and that was helping the team. So
wait, did you say what college you went to?
Oh yeah, so I went to Penn State. I'm a Penn Stater. I bleed blue and white.
Oh my god, I've never heard you say that.
And yeah, that's something people say apparently.
Didn't you also tell me that the sky is blue because?
Yeah, why is the sky blue and white?
Why?
Because God's a Penn State fan.
Oh my god, guys, I live with this. I live with this, but you have converted me to a Penn State fan.
Mysteriously, all of the shirts I've gotten her that are Penn State related mysteriously disappear and mysteriously never make it.
No, I do have my Penn State shirts. I never went to a big college.
It's like we're kind of out of frame.
I never went to a big college. Yeah, we're also recording this live on Instagram, but by the time you hear this, you won't see the live recording. But anyway, you're hearing this, so yeah. I didn't go to a big college. Like I went to Nova Southeastern, and they don't have a football team. Their football team are the Dolphins, the Miami Dolphins from the NFL. So I don't have like a home. I never was rooting for a team. I was like casually rooting for UM just because I'm from Miami. But now I'm a true Penn State fan. So, and your family, like your whole family went there.
Serious.
It's very serious. I didn't understand how serious college life was, honestly, because I think what am I out? No, okay, honestly, I never understood the whole college thing because growing up in Miami, and I think it's our culture of, I don't know what it is, but in Miami there is not like this big need to go away to a big state school. Like everyone after high school just stayed home and went to a local college, and it wasn't like that big push, I think, that people around the country experience, because I think it's because we're Hispanic and we like value family.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know what it is, but it was like everyone who was as soon as they turned 18, it was like ready to like leave town and go off to college, and it was like in Miami it's
no one really did that. Maybe like one
that.
person did that.
There's some outliers, I'm sure, but for the most part it's like people aren't really ready to like, I don't know about ready, but they're just not super stoked about leaving Miami, which I guess I could understand.
Yeah, it's just like a cultural thing. There's not, like, my parents didn't go to like a big state school, and a lot of people I know like just came from Cuba, and we just focused on going to FIU. And I went to Nova. Okay, but anyway, that's college life. So you said all your little fun facts about you, so people can know you better. So I want to talk really quickly about what happened to us this weekend before I introduce our, the person I interviewed. She's amazing, by the way. I can't wait to get to that. But really quickly, we had a bear encounter this weekend. It was like we had a bear encounter before, but this was a different experience, right? We were really close to it.
Yeah, so we went to Kings Canyon National Park this weekend, which is a super awesome park. If anyone has gone, like, they know what I'm talking about, and if you haven't gone and you live nearby, you should really check it out. It's a beautiful place. But yeah, there's a lot of black bears in the park, so we saw a couple black bears this weekend. One was like right, no more than 50 feet from the trail that we were hiking on at the time, and he was just kind of like looking at the ground, looking for stuff to eat, and he didn't really care much that we were there, and he just wandered off. But it was like he was right there. It was pretty crazy.
No, the thing about the bear thing, I was so afraid. Like, during our road trip, which that was an earlier episode, I can't recall which episode it was, but we talked about our road trip, our 30-day cross-country trip, and we went to Glacier National Park in Montana, and we saw bears, but, like, I mean, they were up on a mountain, and we could barely see them. There were tiny little dots, and we had to really zoom in, and that's the way we saw bears. And we saw grizzlies and black bears that way, like, super far, right? And then hiking this weekend, we saw... Again, I was a lot more relieved because there's no grizzlies here. Grizzlies only live in Glacier and Canada. So I think the real danger comes from them. But with black bears, I was like, no, I got this. We can hike and there could be black bears. And we do have bear spray, but I psyched myself out so much for Montana. And this time around, like, since I had kind of had experience like seeing bears really far, I'm like I'm fine. And this time we saw a bear super close, but he was a brown black bear. Like, his fur was super light.
Yeah, they can be all kinds of colors. They can be brown, they can be,
but it was a black bear,
like gray. They can be all kinds.
Yeah, and he was just like he heard us. He must have heard us, and he just didn't care. Like, he went the other direction. I couldn't even take a picture. I was just like so stunned that I'm like, oh my God, there's a bear. And I was actually felt some peace, like some calmness, like just seeing him. Like, he was over there and we were on the other side, and I'm like, everything's fine. And then we saw another bear actually in the car driving away, and this bear was like super close to the road, and I was just like, I thought it was really cool to see bears.
Yeah, it is. Definitely go if you get the chance.
Yeah, it was really cool. I just wanted to show that because I'm proud that I got over my little fear, because I think if I would have seen a bear that close, like before, I would have wanted to turn back. Yeah, it's like, seriously. But it was fine. Like you make noise, like you stay at your distance.
Yeah, he was gone before we even got a chance to do anything. He was
like, before I even took my phone out, he's like, nope, no,
I'm outta here,
no humans. I gotta get ready to hibernate.
Yeah. You want to talk about Lauren?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my God. Okay. So I interviewed Lauren, and Lauren Stanley, she is an incredible entrepreneur. She's an occupational therapist like me, and she is the executive director for Therapists Without Borders. She is a travel blogger, and she has traveled to 38 countries.
Oh,
and yeah, her Instagram's amazing. She's traveled to 38 countries, and her goal with Therapists Without Borders is to give back to countries in need with the creation of her nonprofit. And what Lauren did, and you'll hear it now in the interview, is that she listened to a problem, leaned into it, and then created a solution. Because there's Doctors Without Borders, there's other programs. Our good friend does WOGO.
Women of, what is it?
Women of
Orthopedic
oh God.
Global Outreach.
Yes,
Women of Orthopedic Global Outreach.
Yes, I just forgot what it stood for, but they provide free physical therapy to and free surgeries to what is it? Knee replacements. Yeah. I don't know if it's orthopedic surgeries to global communities. So, but that one is a little bit more selective because they're great, and they have, like, my friend volunteers for them. But Lauren, the awesome OT I just interviewed, she saw that she wanted to provide a nonprofit that was really for speech, PT, OT, and even those that don't have a background in therapy. Her mission and everything about Therapists Without Borders is to provide a place that we feel safe and responsible volunteering for, because she found that there's a lot of organizations that you're not necessarily using your skills, and it's kind of like not the most responsible, not the most sustainable thing for a community. So what Lauren is setting out to do is incredible. So without further ado, let's jump right on into that interview.
All right.
So thank you for taking the time to do this. I've been dying to talk to you for forever now.
Sorry, I'm a little hard to nail down.
No, it's okay, because we moved across the country, so it was we were so busy this summer. It worked out. So tell us about your story and how you got to where you are today.
So I've been in OT in Houston for 8 years now. I work all with pediatrics. I've done home health, mostly outpatient clinic, some schools, and I travel a lot personally as well, just for fun. And I remember in college, before I even was an OT, thinking about doing therapy abroad. I hadn't even, gone to grad school or anything yet, but I just kind of pictured myself volunteering and doing therapy abroad. So fast forward to, I don't even know, several years ago, once I'd already been working, just started combining my passion of travel and for therapy, and started doing some volunteer trips abroad, and kind of really struggled with finding appropriate placements in terms of just therapy opportunities to volunteer. And I mean, there's Doctors Without Borders and tons of global volunteer networks, but there's not really anything dedicated specifically to therapy that is super affordable. A lot of companies that I've came across would charge thousands of dollars to volunteer your services in a developing country where I know, how much it costs, to live there, and they're basically pocketing about 75% of what you pay them. Or just finding responsible and ethical organizations to be going to, because a lot of so-called charities can be scams, where they're just kind of pocketing your money also, and it's not directly going towards the cause of what you're going for. And a problem of sustainability where, the ones that I've done, I've gone and then I've left, and I've had a hard time sleeping at night when I get back, because I don't know what's going to happen, moving forward. Are the people that I taught things going to be carrying over what I taught? And just knowing how much potential I saw in a lot of the kids, and just struggled with kind of not knowing what was going to happen next. Because again, a lot of these aren't really therapy specific organizations, so there's no follow-up. And there are some smaller therapy groups that go out, usually kind of with a team once a year. So kind of all these things that I struggled with in my years that I've been doing this is kind of what inspired me to create something like I have. And totally separately, about a year and a half ago, I created an Instagram account for my own personal travels, basically just a way to document my trips better, and was getting more into photography and all this stuff, and didn't think much of it when I started posting therapy pictures from places I've been to, and that kind of exploded. And I got so many messages from therapists all over the world saying, how did you find an opportunity like this? Because I've looked for years and all I've hit are dead ends, and just really identifying with, the struggles that I just said that I came across. So once I really saw how many other people were feeling this way and behind this, that's kind of what inspired me and motivated me to be the one to create it.
Yeah, you're solving problems like a real entrepreneur.
Trying to.
Yeah, I've had the same thing. Like I've tried to look for organizations in the past and coming to these dead ends. And as an OT, I felt like there wasn't anything specific for us. And I always lost hope because I was skeptical of scams and everything you touched upon. It's like I remember coming to that like realization, like, and not feeling 100% secure. So like, how long did it take you, like after like all this time, like how long did it take you to like realize I've done this, I've seen the problems, and I can do something about this?
It's funny because like it always has been, I mean, not always, as the past few years since I've been trying, to find these opportunities, kind of been a dream to start something like this. But I just, kind of brushed it aside because I'm like, no way can I do that. Like, and it was really after the Instagram got started and I saw how many other people were feeling the same way. Just kind of a strength in numbers is what, made me like, okay, if I build it, they will come. There's such a need. Like, I know the need. Mm-hmm. There's like 15% of the world has a disability. And now I kind of know the willingness of all these people that are wanting to help. And I can't believe that there isn't something that exists like this, and there absolutely needs to be. So I just felt like I should be the one to close the gap.
Yeah. So. Yeah, that's so cool. Like, I think a lot of people, they have fears, or they're like, who am I to do this? Like, I'm not the one to do this. Someone else will. But like you felt that, like, and you took it upon yourself, and you've had, like, I follow you on Instagram. So it's like everyone is like so into what you're doing because it's so needed.
Yeah. And honestly, it's really because of everyone on there that's supported this 100%. That's what gave me the motivation and confidence to do it. There's no way I would have, done this. I would have done it already a couple of years ago had I, not needed a bunch of people to kind of like cheer me on. Cause I remember even, I have a friend who graduated with his MBA a few years ago, moved back to Houston, and I kind of pitched the idea to him because he was looking for a job. And I was like, would you want to help me build this? Cause I have no business background. And here's, why it's needed. Here's, all these things that I'm thinking of. And he kind of was like, I need to get a paying job, totally understandably. And so I just, moved on with, my normal jobs here. And so, yeah, it was truly once I saw how many other people would be behind this that I felt like I could do it. So it's thanks to everyone like you that's just reached out on Instagram, really.
Yeah. Yeah. And I want to get more to that, but I want to ask you first, why did you choose OT, and what's your favorite setting in OT? And, we all have a unique story about OT, so I'm just so curious to hear yours.
Yeah. So, pretty vivid memory of sophomore year in college. And I was registering, it was time to register for classes for second semester. And I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. And I started panicking because I was like, oh my God, I'm about to register for these classes, which means college is over and I don't know what I'm doing. So I went into my career center. I 100% owe OT is kind of my life choice to the University of Michigan Career Center, because I went in and I just told them what I was interested in. I didn't even know what OT was. And I was thinking about physical therapy because everyone knows what that is. And kind of told them, I love working with people, love helping people, love, movement, human body. And she kind of laid out the path of what PT would be like for the rest of undergrad. And there were certain classes like orgochem and stuff that I was like, nah, not really. And I had already been doing a lot of psych classes. And so she was the one who brought up OT to me, and I had never heard of it. So I started looking into that on my own, and started shadowing places. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is 100% me as a person. I'm extremely independent. I can't really handle when things are like wrong with me or when I can't do something. So I was like, of course I need to help other people who, have an inability to do something. And my favorite area is peds. I mean, I've always known that. I've always, in school, I knew that, I did several other rotations, but went straight into working with peds as soon as I graduated and still here.
Cool. Yeah, I did peds for 5 years and outpatient. So it's like you have to love it or you're not in it at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I want to ask you also about I love your whole like Jedicate. I love your Instagram name. What sparked your travel bug, and what are your most favorite things and least favorite things about travel?
Okay. What sparked it? I don't really have an answer for that. I studied abroad in college, in Spain, and I minored in Spanish and did a lot of Europe when I was abroad for that. Yeah, I don't really, I don't know. I don't really have a big thing that like sparked it. It's just kind of always been something I've done and been into. Favorite thing is just experiencing different things and unexpected things. I'm someone who I hate routine and I hate structure. And I really like being thrown into a situation and not knowing what to expect and just adapting, I guess, and learning and trying different things, different languages, different foods, different cultures, different people, everything. I just really like learning and trying new things. Least favorite thing always comes back to having a proper bed and toilet and shower to use.
Yeah.
That's really it. That's all I like. Get excited to come home. I'm like, I just want my bed, or I just want like a typical bathroom that I'm used to, or, a hot shower. Just those basic things are really the only things that really get to me.
Oh, so what part of Spain did you study in?
Granada.
Oh my God, I was just there in May.
Oh.
And I'm Cuban, but I'm mainly blood Spanish. So I've been to Spain twice, and I know you love, like, I get that you love like Spanish and Hispanic cultures. Like, are you fluent in Spanish or?
I don't say fluent. I say conversational.
Yeah.
I mean, I can actually read it and write it better than I can speak or hear, because I just have an extra second to think about it a little bit further,
Yeah.
But when I travel, I speak in Spanish the entire time. And I have some patients as well and their families that I speak Spanish to. And just some people. I live in Houston. There's a huge Hispanic population. So certain people here also. So, I definitely, I don't say proficient or fluent, like you said, but I definitely conversational and can get by with pretty much any conversation I need to.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, it's funny because growing up in a bilingual area in Miami, I don't speak it as well. I'm just like, I'm better at writing and reading because I have to think about it a little bit more, and my mouth doesn't like moves faster than my mind, or like I can't keep up. So like, but when you're submerged in the culture, like when you're studying in Spain or when you're traveling, the more you practice, the better. And,
right. Yeah, definitely.
So in terms of Therapists Without Borders, and combining the things that we love, combining therapy with travel and helping people, I know this has been a big year in terms of development, in terms of like developing the brand and the company. So where are you in that process?
Yeah, there's like a million things happening at once. So when you said brand, I am so lucky, and I have a graphic designer who volunteered to revamp the logo and our branding, which I'm for free, which I'm so excited about. That's pretty much everything thus far has just been me making stuff up. Like the logo was my idea, and my sister helped me put that together. Same thing with our website. My husband and I just kind of guessing. And I also have a website developer who volunteered to revamp the website voluntarily. So I'm just so thankful that I have kind of people that are pitching in to help build that side with the branding and everything, to help us get a much more kind of cleaner and more polished and professional look, other than, me and my husband or sister just guessing at stuff, because we don't really have any technical background with any of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In terms of other development, the past month or two, I've been working on the business plan, which just includes basically any detail about how this will be run, and just day-to-day workings. And with that, there are so many documents. I have like a huge long list of, this week I just finished our like the boring terms and conditions and the privacy policy and like cookie policy for our website, just random stuff like that. Last week finished the affiliation agreement that we'll be using between placement sites that we go to. We have 2 universities that we're working on contracts with to send students. Working on the application. I just finished that this week too. The application details for how a volunteer will apply on the website. There's just so many things like that. We're putting together an orientation booklet for volunteers, which includes kind of, all of our procedures and how we'll be documenting things along the way, kind of ethical guidelines, cultural guidelines, safety precautions. There's just like a million pieces that I'm just checking off the list one by one, and then hopefully tying that all together in the next month or 2.
It's a lot of work. I know. Yeah. Are you doing all that by yourself? I know you said your husband helps and you had the help of a graphic designer, but in terms of all that you described, are you doing that by yourself?
So I have a board of directors that's 5 people. So that's myself. My husband is the treasurer because he's a math science guy and so far been like IT, but now we have, that website developer who will be taking that over. I have and then 2 other people on the board are also OTs. One is my director of student programming. So she's kind of doing all the university side. She's a fieldwork coordinator in Utah. And one of the other OTs, she's my director of communications. So she's going to help me out with, I have a university talk to do in October. She's helping to put together the newsletter and just kind of reaching out to some other organizations that we hope to partner with. And then I have a social worker on my board as well. And she's my director of case management. So she's working on how we're going to be, having files for each kid we work with, how we're documenting this, how this can all be connected to each other, and how we're, maintaining like a care plan basically that each volunteer can be pitching into. And, so one person can pick up where the last person left off. And then outside of the board, I have a director of education who's the one who's she's an OT also, and she'll be doing kind of monitoring what people are doing with their care plans and everything, and also kind of mostly building the program of how therapists will be helping to pass on information to local staff, the caregivers, any local therapists that are employed at the places that we go to, and kind of like holding trainings and, presentations, handouts, all that kind of stuff to be passing on information. And then a director of development who is also an OT that will be helping with fundraising and just development in general as well as we keep moving forward.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. That's a team. That's a really solid team.
And the hardest part is this is all volunteer so far, and everyone has jobs, everyone has lives, no one's getting paid for this. So I've kind of accepted, things aren't all in my control. I can't do everything. Things just take a while. We're dealing with different countries. There's time zone differences. There's legal steps involved. I do have an attorney also who's helping. And so there's a lot of pieces, and it's just everyone kind of pitching in when and where they can. I've also had a few students who did a couple assignments for me, and also a few other people on Instagram who have reached out and said that they'd, be up for doing any kind of assignment. So I have a couple other people randomly working on a couple assignments that I needed also.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I feel you with even though I don't have a team it's just me and my husband, but it is like a labor of love in the beginning. And
yeah,
when do you see that this will take off and everything will start rolling?
So it's been an incorporated nonprofit in Texas. So it's technically a nonprofit corporation. It just sounds really weird to say that we're a corporation. I don't really like that. But it's been a nonprofit since May. but our 501c3 status is pending, which is what we need any kind of big funding. So donations can be tax deductible. That's just a waiting game to hear back from the IRS. We've already applied for that and just waiting to hear. So take off in terms of like really being supported and having funding, which will allow a lot of the people who I mentioned would be willing to drop down at their jobs to be able to put in a lot more time and work. I'm the only one so far who's dropped down significantly at work. So in terms of taking off with sending people, I hope to start sending volunteers early 2019. That's kind of my timeline that I've said for the past few months, and we're still on track for that. So fingers crossed.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, you have a plan, a timeline, and sometimes things are out of your control, which is like, I know you, and I don't like that either when you have to wait for someone else to approve something or whatever, but it's like this beautiful, messy process.
Yeah.
But I want to ask you, like, you have so much drive and you're making all this happen. What is a quality that you see in yourself that has allowed you to take these steps and to be successful?
Passion. I think that's what it comes down to, is just really, really caring about what you're doing and really, really believing in it. I really believe this could be huge. I really believe it's needed. I really believe that myself and those involved so far can make this happen. So I think it's just, passion and belief in what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you ever see yourself, because I know you said this was, from your experience of this problem, but did you ever see that or ever think I would be an entrepreneur in any sense?
It's kind of funny because I was thinking about this the other night. When I was a kid, I was like always coming up with like neighborhood events. Like I was always planning like carnivals or like talent shows or, the lemonade stands. And I was like kind of always organizing as you can be as a kid, entrepreneur thing. And like for a while I was like that. And like now that I look back, I'm like, oh, I still kind of have that in me, I guess. But I haven't really, considered that seriously in my, like adult years, until more recently, I guess. Never really something I didn't, that I thought I couldn't do, but it just, I guess I didn't have it as big enough of a reason as I've had the past few years.
Yeah. Yeah, I find that especially in my OT class, I think this is a general assumption, not for everyone, but we don't go in to start businesses like right off the bat or even think about that. I think most of us just go into school because we want to be clinicians, and we don't even open ourselves to that possibility until like you and I both experienced a problem, and that kind of like led us down the road of thinking, oh, we can do something about it. It's just not in the conventional way,
Right.
Yeah. So, and, in terms of that, like, what can you say to other OTs that maybe have never thought about entrepreneurship, or what advice would you give to them?
I did take a class on how to start a nonprofit. And that was really helpful. So, kind of just the more I know, the more confident I feel, and I feel like I've had enough experience the past few years. Not only therapy, but also the experience of like trying to find organizations like this and just kind of going through that and seeing like what pitfalls there are out there. And that's kind of what makes me, I guess, confident that I can do it. So I think for other people, it's just like, feel like just having like a wealth of knowledge about what you're trying to do, really, and just feeling prepared. I think if I was really lost about what to do, I would have no direction, no drive. Yeah,
like getting really clear with what it is that you want to do.
Yeah, and yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's taken me a long time, and it was like the idea of entrepreneurship, I think it's safe to say also for you, kind of just like fell into you, like this is what Yeah. So I think, yeah, for OTs that have maybe a problem or they're experiencing a problem, I would encourage OTs to think outside of the box and turn that into like, is that a problem that other people are having that I can solve, that I can start something and really be a force. I think a lot of times we don't give ourselves that credit that, oh, we don't have a business background, or, you know, we didn't really learn that. But it's like, once you understand, like, you can take it into your own hands. It's just a matter of like being driven by something that's greater than you.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So like, where do you see Therapists Without Borders, like in 5 years or 10 years? Like, what's your ultimate dream?
Whew.
That's a loaded one.
I know, because there's days when I'm like, you know, we can change the world, and like thinking, you know, dreaming so big.
Yeah.
And knowing it just, you know, I would love to grow to so many different countries. There's so many places that need this. We are just starting with 2 placement sites to begin with. I've volunteered at both of them. And I really want to start off with quality at those 2 first before quantity. Yep. And making sure that those 2 are, you know, running smoothly, everything's going well, progress is being made, before expanding. In 5 years, I'd love it if we have added on 2 or 3 more sites, maybe maybe 1 a year, if this is going as well as I hope it to, and if there are enough people who are going. I have a pretty long email list so far of people who are interested, but I have no idea how many people are actually going to be volunteering when, you know, the time comes. So that's kind of hard to predict. So I really hope that our word spreads even further than it has thus far. More people are signing up to go, and the more people that sign up to go, and, you know, as long as this is going well, then the more we can grow.
Do you have a wait list? Is that what you have, an email list? Is it like a wait list?
No, it's just a list of people who are interested in volunteering.
Oh, cool. And I know I saw on your site, which I know is newly, like, but last time when I checked a few months ago, it was in the like works, but now you have a website, which is so cool. So you have, I think, India. Is that the first place you're working on?
There's India and Kenya. Those are the first.
Oh,
sites.
Awesome. Oh my gosh, so cool. So, you know, besides, outside of this work, do you have any other projects or any other exciting things in your life that are coming up?
Well, I'm pretty overwhelmed because as of this coming weekend, there's 15 weekends left in the year, and I'll be out of town for 10 of them.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And of the 5 that I'm in town, 3 of those we have family staying with us. So I basically only have 2 free weekends for the rest of 2018. So I'm like, I mean, I'm always busy. I always have like a million things going on. I've worked really hard at balance the past few months. This is definitely the biggest thing that I'm working on, and the most exciting thing. And just kind of juggling some part-time jobs on the side, and a bunch of random travels also.
Yeah. So it's mostly, you know, with jobs and Therapists Without Borders, you're traveling a lot, like for fun, that you're going to be out of town for all those weekends?
Yeah. Like 2 are weddings. One's just going home to Chicago. That's where I grew up. Cool. One of them is for ASHA. The ASHA Speech National Convention is in Boston, so we'll have an exhibition booth there. 2 are holiday weekends, and 2 weekends I'll actually be in Kenya at the orphanage, just wrapping up all of our final details with them. Hopefully just kind of a final handshake with all of our, you know, agreements and plans of how this will work before we can start sending people. So.
Yeah, you're busy.
Stuff, yeah.
I have one question before I ask you my signature question. How do you, like, do you have a mantra, or do you have anything that you go, like, that keeps you sane or balanced every day?
Work hard, play hard has been my motto for a long time. Before I even started any of this, I'd, have full weeks at work, and I never left work with notes undone, documentation undone, any of that, because I didn't like anything hanging over my head for the weekend or for the night or whatever. So I was really good at separating work was at work. When I was done. And then when I left is play, So I've always, had a really good balance of the work hard, play hard. That's been hard the past 6 months or so. When my work is a lot at home, and I'm enjoying it so much, and there's not really an end point. When I'm done with a patient and when I'm done with a note, it's done. This is very different because this is very ongoing, very continuous. So it's not really like there's a specific end point to a lot of things. So that's been an adjustment, but still trying to, work really hard at this, but also balancing relaxing and having fun also.
Yeah, because then I believe if you drive yourself to the ground, then it's not fun anymore. And then you kind of like get lost in yourself.
Yeah.
So last final question. Actually, no, where can people find you first? And where can people connect with you?
Well, the Instagram is proper Jedicate. That I'm, on pretty much every day. In my bio there's the link to the website, which is either therapistwithoutbordersinc.com or .org, or you can also do twbinc.org. And that website will look the way it does for the next month or so. I'm preparing all the content for our new website with our new developer, which will go live right before ASHA, so around mid-November. But there's a contact address on there under the Contact Us tab that you can also reach out, and that one goes to me.
Cool. So
I think I have my proper Jedicate email listed on the Instagram too.
Yeah, because I've emailed you from Instagram. Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
So last question. What makes you your most lit up self?
Travel. I'm definitely on fire and have way too much adrenaline running through me that it significantly interferes with my sleep when I travel. And I'm a sleeper. Like, I sleep a lot at home, kind of when I recharge, basically. Just traveling, experiencing new things. I was really on fire I was at the World Federation of OT conference in South Africa in May, where we had a booth for Therapists Without Borders. And that was when we had, just incorporated. This is just a few months ago, so it was still really new. Yeah. And I was really overwhelmed. I cried at the end of the first day in a good way, just seeing how many people, again, are behind this. I'm just constantly blown away by the support I get for this. The conference was like 4 days there. And I mean, again, I slept 4 hours a night for like 10 days there. I was just on fire there too. Just so excited about everything that was happening and where this can go and the support I was getting and everything.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm so happy for you. I'm so excited. I can't wait to follow along this whole journey. And thank you for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you. And happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I forgot to close this day off, but then we're not doing anything today anyway. We're doing birthday stuff on the weekend, so I was like, whatever.